Hi, I'm Maciek Peter Kozlowski, and this is my story. When I was a little kid, my parents had this terrible habit of taking me to the best museums in Europe and North America. I hated that. I was a little kid, and the last thing I wanted to do was to be dragged around to a museum. I was in North America for maybe 2 months, and we took a trip to Philadelphia. What I found out one morning is we were going to go to see this collection. It wasn't a museum, so I had some hope. And it turned out it was the Barnes Foundation. So there I was, being towed around for the most beautiful Impressionist paintings in the world. This is a Cézanne, here's a Van Gogh, here's something else, here's something else. And then we went around the corner, and there was a Rousseau. It was a jungle scene with a tiger. And I looked at that, and it just created something in my mind that was a feeling that I had never experienced. Right then at that moment, I have to learn how to do this, to create that wonderful feeling of joy that you get when you see a really nice painting. So that was the start. The who has been most inspirational, I would say mostly with my grandmother. My grandmother showed me something. I was a very, very little kid, and she had this old bathtub, and it had cracks and various shapes and forms in it. And she started pointing out things to me and said, well, what does that look like to you? What does that look like to you? And it was taking those abstract shapes and just kind of guiding me along and saying, what are these things? And can you make a scene out of them? Is this look like a dog or a person or a house or something like that? So that's a kind of skill that I learned really early on, and it was a great inspiration, and it continues to be. The way that I work is I will work intuitively and look at shapes, and when they start to resonate with me, then I'll develop them into whatever the painting is going to be, and just let the painting speak through me. People have other plans for you, school, and then university, and then jobs, kids, mortgages, houses, and all these kinds of things that make it difficult to be a full-time artist, but I've always kept it up. So if I look back, all the interactions, all the things I created, because I would build things that had an artistic component, but they were more functional. Probably around 1989, I thought, well, let's see if we can do this on a more full-time basis. We just experimented, and tried this, tried that, tried other things, and see what would work. And it was a question of learning and trying and learning and trying. This is a very, very new experimentation, and that's really what I do. I've been working with epoxy resin as a finish for a lot of my works, because I was looking for a glass finish without the hassle of glass. So this is paper. I thought, okay, I've got to jam this paper in here so it doesn't fall out. And then I wanted to get it coated in the epoxy because I love the shininess of the epoxy. Where are we going to go with it? I'm not sure, but I love the fact that it stays together, that this paper is not floppy, but all this is sort of together. And of course, the reflection and the texture is just a lot of fun. So mental blocks are a challenge for many artists, and I deal with it mostly through meditation. It's remarkable how after 20 minutes, things that I could not solve all of a sudden become quite obvious in terms of solutions being offered. They may not be the right solutions, but at least they're breaking that mental block. Now, that doesn't work all the time for me. I've got paintings that I learned this word from a very good friend of mine, artist, are paused. They're not abandoned, they're not overpainted, I didn't burn them, they're just paused. And I got some that are like in 20-year pause. But that's okay. Not making art is not an option anymore. I get really grumpy if I don't make art. Some people exercise, some people do other things, but if I don't make art, if I don't express the things that I'm feeling, and then I just get grumpy, and I don't like to be grumpy.